Beijing, the beating heart of China, an ancestral metropolis that pulses with modern energy. Beijing is a melting pot of cultures where the old and the new intertwine. Capital of China and one of the most populated cities in the world, it is the cultural, political, and social heart of the country. The name Beijing originated in ancient times and means the northern capital, in contrast to Nanjing, the southern capital and a former capital of the country. Home to Peking University, cradle of brilliant minds, it feeds the nation's future. Its bustling international airport, one of the busiest gateways in the world, connects the globe with this vibrant city. Urban traffic is legendary and a daily challenge that contrasts with the efficiency of its extensive train system, which offers relief by connecting all corners of the city and is considered the most extensive in the world. The Chinese capital hosted the 2008 Olympic Games, dazzling the world with a spectacular opening ceremony at the iconic National Stadium, known as the Bird's Nest. Additionally, the Chinese capital is one of the cities with the highest number of billionaires in the world, featuring several business districts. Like the Dongsheng district, where history comes alive with its traditional hutongs and historical monuments, as well as the Xi'an district, with the modern Xianhuai Soho complex, an architectural icon that showcases the dynamism and innovation of a constantly evolving city. Places in Beijing. Beijing is much more than a city. It is a transformative experience. The Chinese capital has more than 200 tourist attractions and 7 World Heritage Sites, making tourism the backbone of this great metropolis. Millions of visitors are captivated by the beauty of its Buddhist temples, the elegance of its imperial palaces, and the vitality of its people. To the north of Beijing is a World Heritage Site and considered the most representative symbol of China. The famous Great Wall of China, stretching over 6,000 kilometers through mountains and plains, is considered a wonder of the world and receives more than 10 million tourists per year. In the heart of Beijing, we find the Forbidden City, also known as the Imperial Palace, a vast complex of palaces and courtyards that was the heart of imperial power for centuries. The Meridian Gate, its main entrance, is a gateway to a past of splendor and mystery, and Tiananmen Square, a testament to the power and greatness of the nation, a symbol of modern Chinese history, scene of transcendental events. But this city is also full of parks and natural places, like Xi'an Park, and the Hangsikyo wetlands, a natural oasis on the outskirts of Beijing, which provide a break from urban life and are home to rich biodiversity, as well as the Temple of Heaven, a testament to the deep spirituality and architectural ingenuity of past dynasties, whispering ancestral secrets. The area known as the Old City of Shanghai or Nansha is the district in the city that was never part of any international concession, a time during which it was known by foreigners as the Chinese City. The Old City, with an approximate area of 4 square kilometers, has an oval shape due to its surrounding streets following the path of the old wall built in the 16th century. This area represents one of the most traditional Chinese sectors of Shanghai. Entering this part of the city is entering a different world. Perhaps the most recognized place in this area is Yu Gardens, or Yu Yuan Gardens, or the Gardens of Happiness. Yu Gardens is a pride for every Shanghainese, built in the 16th century by a governor for his father, and although they are not very large, they contain everything a classic Chinese garden has: pavilions, ponds, large rocks, and sculptures. During the Lantern Festival, 15 days after the Chinese New Year, thousands of lit lanterns beautify the place each night. One of the most photographed and visited places in this garden is the tea house Hushi Ting, where having a Chinese tea is a great experience. Next to the garden is the Yuyuan Bazaar, one of the favorite places for tourists to buy a souvenir or eat a typical dish. Although these buildings are not as old as the park, they were built following a traditional Chinese style, which also contributes to making a visit to this place a great experience. The Bund of Shanghai. The set of large colonial buildings located on the western bank of the Huangpu River is traditionally known as the Bund. Bund is a word of Hindu origin referring to a dock, and it is the name given to this place by British and Indian merchants. The Bund was traditionally the commercial heart of the Shanghai port, where merchandise from all over the world was unloaded and Chinese merchandise destined for the entire world was loaded. And it was here where the offices of the commercial houses of large Western empires were located. To this day, one-third of all China's trade flows through the waters of the Huangpu River, so one of the most rewarding activities continues to be taking a boat ride on the Huangpu. By the 1920s, the boom received a strong boost of real estate investment with the arrival of the Sassoon family, especially Victor Sassoon, a Sephardic Jew of Iraqi origin, who invested millions of dollars in the construction of several of the most prominent Art Deco buildings currently. That is why Shanghai was baptized as the Pearl of the Orient. Since ancient times, the boom was connected to the town square, which today is a 2 kilometers long pedestrian street, Nanjing Road, which we will talk about in the next section. Nanjing Road. It has traditionally been the most important commercial street in Shanghai. The street extends from the Bund eastward to the People's Square, the central point of Shanghai, located at the midpoint of this street. Nanjing Road is the longest commercial zone in the world, measuring about 10 kilometers in length and attracting more than 1 million daily visitors. Nanjing Road consists of 2 parts, Nanjing East Road and Nanjing West Road. Nanjing East Road is known as the shopping paradise, since before 1949 all the stores were located here. It is worth strolling down the street at night, because once the sun has set, Nanjing East Road looks like a Chinese version of Las Vegas, with its store facades lit by a multitude of neon lights. Nanjing West Road goes from People's Square to Jinggang Temple. This long street is surrounded by a rich mix of religious buildings, large mansions, and is known for its constant development with luxury stores, shopping centers, hotels, and office buildings. China, legendary inventions. Chinese creativity is millennia-old, and we see it reflected in so many inventions that we have inherited from this culture, just to mention a few. Paper, invented at the beginning of the 2nd century after Christ, and which reached Europe by the 11th century. Porcelain, developed in China around the 7th century after Christ, and whose composition formula was discovered in Germany only in the 18th century, and we would run out of time to talk about the umbrella, compasses, the abacus, gunpowder, the compass, kites, and silk. Produced in China since the 17th century before Christ, creating the famous Silk Road, a term coined in the 19th century, which actually refers to a series of trade routes between China and the West. Although this trade route encompassed the exchange of a wide variety of products, silk was the most prized Eastern product in the West, especially in the Roman Empire. The fascination of the Romans was such that they called China Ceres, the land of silk. The Romans believed that silk grew on trees in China, and it was not until the Byzantine Emperor Justinian sent 2 emissaries disguised as monks to China, who discovered the secret that silk was produced by worms, which they secretly stole and introduced to Europe. The fall of the Byzantine Empire in 1453 and the rise of the Ottoman Empire ended trade with the East and with this famous route. Pregunta a ChatGPT. China, geographic facts. China is located in East Asia. China is the largest country in Asia after Russia, and in land area it is only surpassed by Russia and Canada in the whole world. China shares borders with 14 countries and has a coastline on the Pacific of more than 14,000 kilometers in length. China is the most populated country in the world, and with a population of more than 1.4 billion inhabitants, it represents 20% of the world's population. The Chinese territory is divided into 22 provinces, 5 autonomous regions, 4 municipalities under central jurisdiction, and 2 special administrative regions, Hong Kong and Macau. Additionally, it claims the considered sub-province of Taiwan, which is controlled by the Republic of China. The territory of China stretches 5,000 kilometers from west to east in Asia, covering 5 different time zones. The Chinese territory can be visualized as 3 topographical terraces. The Western Terrace, the highest, ranges between 4,000 and 6,000 meters in altitude and includes the Himalayas, home to Mount Everest, the highest peak in the world. The Central and Northwestern Terrace lies between 1,000 and 2,000 meters in altitude. The Eastern Terrace, with average heights under 500 m, houses 2/3 of China's population and is the agricultural and economic core of the country. Also, 1/5 of China is desert, highlighting the vast Gobi Desert in the northwest, shared with Mongolia. How was ancient China formed? Around the year 3000 BC, settlements emerged along the Yellow River, and its abundant agriculture allowed for the creation of wealth. During this time, the first great rulers and the first recognized dynasty arose, the Xi'an dynasty, which ruled China from the 21st century BC until the 17th century BC. Under the Xi'an dynasty, the first Chinese state, Shang, emerged. Around the year 1776 BC, the first recognized dynasty was defeated, and the Shang dynasty arose. By the year 1046 BC, the Zhou state emerged, which defeated the Shang dynasty. Under the Zhou dynasty, the population grew and the territory expanded. The Zhou installed vassal governors who, over time, gained so much power that they eventually rebelled against the Zhou, thus initiating the period known as the Warring States period, in which 7 different kingdoms fought each other for power. In the year 300 BC, the Qin kingdom managed to prevail over all the other kingdoms, thus unifying the entire territory under a first emperor, Qin Shi Huang, thereby beginning the period of the Chinese Empire in which China would be governed by dynasties of emperors. The Qin dynasty would last only 15 years, but during this period, the construction of the Great Wall of China began, built with the purpose of defending the empire from Mongol hordes. The Grand Canal. Located in the southern region of China, the Grand Canal was built in sections over 1,000 years with the goal of connecting the Yangtze with the Yellow River and one capital with another. Its construction began in the 7th century AD. Under Emperor Zhui Wendi with more than 5 million men between 15 and 55 years old. The Grand Canal has been declared a World Heritage Site and remains the largest artificial waterway in the world, with 1,776 kilometers. And also the oldest, it served for centuries to connect the populated north with the rice-producing region in the south. Along its course are the main cities of Zhouzhou, called the Venice of the East, and Guangzhou, with a large number of historical monuments known for their gardens, bridges, and houses along the canals. The construction of the Grand Canal brought prosperity to the city of Zhou, since silk, the city's most prized product, could be exported to the north. At the beginning of the 20th century, with the rise of the railroad, the gradual disappearance of the use of the canal as a commercial route began. The Maritime Silk Road. The Maritime Silk Road was an important trade route that connected China with the rest of the world through the oceans. It developed during the Han Dynasty in China and continued to be relevant until the 15th century. The Maritime Silk Road was one of the first historical manifestations of globalization and the interconnection of the world. It stretched over more than 15,000 kilometers and facilitated the exchange of goods and knowledge between East and West. The most popular Chinese products on the route included silk, porcelain, tea, paper, gunpowder, and compasses, in addition to spices from Southeast Asia, such as cinnamon, clove, ginger, and pepper, which were highly valued in Europe. This route allowed the development of major port cities, such as Guangzhou and Quanzhou in China, Malacca in Malaysia, Calicut in India, and Venice in Europe. Another of its great contributions was the development of navigation techniques, such as the use of compasses, astrolabes, and detailed maps. The most popular ships on this route were Chinese junks and Arab dhows. Incidentally, Arab merchants and navigators played a crucial role in this trade route, which facilitated the spread of Islam throughout Southeast Asia. Guilin and Guangxi. This region of China is famous for having vast areas of spectacular landscapes, from eroded limestone karst formations to the enormous conical hills that cover half of Huizhou, and the tall and elegant pinnacles around Guilin, called by many the most beautiful scenery in the world, a scenic spot of world fame. As well as a place with much history and culture, it is the classic representation of the natural Chinese landscape. Guilin is famous for the cruise along the Li River that passes through an astonishing landscape of karst peaks or steep hills, most of them less than 198 meters in height, and that ends in the small city of Guangzhou. Today, with the incorporation of a well-designed landscape, tree-lined avenues, and rocky parks, Guilin is a tourist city, with a dozen parks that enclose some beautiful peaks and limestone caves. In the same region, we also find Guangxi, known as the Land of Abundance for its fertile soil and rich natural resources, a land full of rivers and beautiful waterfalls that bear witness to it. The region is also rich in cultural heritage, with a mix of ethnic traditions and historical sites. The Zhuang people have a strong presence in Guangxi and have contributed to the region's varied cultural landscape. The astonishing natural landscapes, from the towering limestone hills to the tropical bamboo forests and terraced rice fields, make it one of the most picturesque regions of China. There we find the city of Nanning, which is the capital and largest city of Guangxi and its political, economic, and cultural center. The city is located on the banks of the Yong River and is known for its lush vegetation. In recent years, the city has experienced rapid development, becoming a modern metropolis with a mix of traditional and contemporary elements. Why is Hong Kong known? Hong Kong got its name from the Cantonese words Hyunggong because it was an important port for agarwood, a fragrant incense produced on the peninsula for centuries. The Hong Kong skyline is famous for its tall and elegant buildings and for being the city with the most skyscrapers in the world. However, approximately 3/4 of Hong Kong's territory consists of parks and nature reserves. Hong Kong is made up of 236 islands and territories. To the south is Hong Kong Island, which contains most of the main attractions and buildings. Above the harbor, to the north, the Kowloon Peninsula bustles, a more densely populated and commercial area. The new territories, extending from Kowloon toward mainland China, and the 234 outlying islands complete the puzzle. One thing Hong Kong is known for is having one of the best street lives in the world. The sidewalks are always full of people eating, shopping, and sightseeing. Almost every neighborhood has some type of street market, where vendors offer all kinds of products. Additionally, the city is recognized for having the largest fleet of double-decker trams in the world, affectionately known as Ding Ding, because of their double bell that alerts pedestrians. They are a true icon of the city, transporting more than 200,000 people a day, and definitely for its port, one of the largest and most active container ports in the world, making Hong Kong's economy one of the so-called Asian tigers, along with Singapore, South Korea, and Taiwan. Places in Macau. The economy of Macau depends heavily on tourism, gambling, and betting, known as the Las Vegas of the East for its numerous casinos and luxury resorts, where gambling revenues reach a record figure of $15 billion per year. Until very recently, the casinos of Macau were the main attraction for millions of tourists from mainland China and Hong Kong. However, the atmosphere of the city is marked by a colonial past, as it remained under Portuguese rule for 450 years until it was returned to China in 1999. Macau became the first European enclave in China with the arrival of Portuguese merchants and Jesuits in the 16th century, which has left behind old fortresses, cobbled squares like Senado Square, located next to Senado Avenue, and forming part of the historic center declared a World Heritage Site. North of Senado Square, you will find streets flanked by beautiful colonial buildings of charming architecture. At the top of Rua de São Paulo, a wide stone staircase leads up to the ruins of the Old Church of São Paulo, built in 1602 and considered the largest Christian monument in East Asia before it was destroyed by a fire in 1835. The wooded hillside immediately east of São Paulo is crowned by another colonial relic, the Fortaleza do Monte, from the 17th century. Shenzhen. Known as a global high-tech hub and called the Chinese Silicon Valley, it is home to Chinese technology brands such as Tencent and Huawei. It was in this former fishing village where the modern Chinese economic miracle was born, first through the manufacturing industry and now through innovation. But how was this possible? Shenzhen was the first city to become a special economic zone as part of Deng Xiaoping's economic reforms. The special economic zone status transformed in just a few years this small village of rice fields and fishermen near Hong Kong into a true, booming metropolis with more than 20 million inhabitants, becoming the richest city in China. China's economy. The economy in China is booming, becoming the world's largest producer of products including steel, vehicles, electronics, and more. In 1992, China was the third largest economy in the world. In 2012, it reached second place and may surpass the United States by the middle of this century. Currently, China is the world's largest exporter. According to World Bank data, China's export economy grew by 954% between 1970 and 2010, which is why China is known as the factory of the world. More and more people have left agriculture to work in the flourishing manufacturing sector, which has lifted millions of Chinese people out of poverty and caused massive migration to its cities. According to official data, in the next 10 years, the country plans to move 250 million people to rapidly growing megacities. To accommodate that massive migration, the country has invested billions of dollars in enormous infrastructure projects. From highways to the largest wind power base in the world, including huge skyscrapers and new cities, China is no stranger to record-breaking infrastructure projects. It already has the largest dam in the world, the longest ocean crossing, and the most extensive high-speed rail network. And it has one of the largest airports ever conceived, with the capacity for more than 200 million passengers per year. The Xi'an incorporates a series of high-speed rail and metro links with Beijing and the surrounding provinces. With more than 1 million square meters, the Xi'an Terminal Building is one of the largest single structures ever built. The cultivation of rice. It is believed that rice originated on the banks of the Yangtze River and that its cultivation developed thousands of years ago in southern China. Rice has been so important in China that one of its main greetings is Shi Fang Lima, which means "Have you eaten rice today?" Rice has been used not only as food, but also as a binder in construction, its leaves used to make paper, and its grains as currency and a store of value. Due to the mountainous terrain and the flood-prone lowlands, farmers in southern China have developed a terrace system to cultivate rice. These stepped terraces allow for the control of water flow and maximize land use. Although mechanization has taken place in this region, in some areas traditional tools are still used, such as water buffalo and sickles. One of the most popular dishes in southern China is glutinous rice buns, filled with various ingredients such as meat or vegetables, similar to the tamales eaten in several Latin American countries. By the way, China is one of the main producers and exporters of rice in the entire world. It is estimated that China produces around 35% of all the rice in the world. China and tea. 1/3 of the world's tea production comes from China, but China is also the birthplace of tea, and tea is the national drink of the country. That is why tea houses can be easily found, especially in the main cities. In Mandarin Chinese, tea is called cha. The only region where it was not called cha was the Fujian province, where they called it Thai, which is why the British called it tea. British merchants established trading posts in Xi'an, Fujian province, and began trading Chinese tea worldwide. Since then, customs and the use of tea have flourished and evolved around the world. An example of this is the well-known Russian tea route, an important trade route connecting China and Russia through the tea trade. This route developed during the 17th and 18th centuries and was established to meet the growing demand for tea in Russia. Chinese tea was highly valued in Russia and became an integral part of Russian culture. Tea was transported from the producing regions in southern China to Russia through a network of trade routes crossing Siberia. The main route began in the Chinese city of Xi'an, at the border between China and Russia, and reached Moscow. Chinese tea was transported in caravans along this route, which crossed long distances and difficult conditions. The Chinese language and education in China. Education in China is a structured and rigorous system, known for its focus on discipline and academic performance. It begins with 6 years of primary education, followed by 3 years of lower secondary and 3 years of upper secondary. Chinese schools mainly teach classes in Mandarin, although other languages such as English are also taught from an early age. A curiosity of the Chinese educational system is the Gaokao, an extremely competitive university entrance exam that determines the academic and professional future of students. Additionally, the cult of Mao Zedong remains present in Chinese education. His ideology and thought are integrated into the curriculum, especially in history and politics classes, reflecting his legacy and the continuing influence of the Chinese Communist Party. The Chinese are very creative people, and this is even manifested in their writing system. In China, there are more than 300 different dialects, and Standard Mandarin is the most spoken of them all and the one used in the media. The Chinese language is a pictographic language, that is, it uses symbols to represent words or ideas. A standard Chinese dictionary contains at least 56,000 characters, and it is said that to be able to read a good book, one needs to know at least 6,000 of them. History of Southern China. Southern China has a rich and complex history that dates back thousands of years. During antiquity, southern China was home to diverse cultures and kingdoms. During the 3rd century BC, the Qin dynasty, which began the construction of the famous Great Wall of China, also annexed the southern part of the country, thus unifying the territory north of the Yellow River with the territory located south of it, and providing the Chinese Empire with its largest commercial port, the city of Guangzhou, later called Canton. After the Qin dynasty, under the rule of the Han dynasty, the port of Guangzhou had commercial connections with different points in Southeast Asia and places as far away as the Roman Empire. This same international trade activity, along with demographic pressures and conflicts in mainland China, led to significant migrations from southern China, such as the migration of the Thai to Thailand, Laos, and Burma, the Hakka to Taiwan and other places in Southeast Asia, or the Haklo or Fujianese, who migrated to places like Taiwan and more remote locations such as Malaysia or Singapore. By the 9th century AD, important colonies of Arabs, Jews, and Persians traded tea, silk, and porcelain from China with different regions of the world. 9 centuries later, in 1513, the Portuguese were the first Europeans to make direct contact between China and a European continental nation, establishing themselves on the island of Lintin, near present-day Macau. By 1557, Portugal obtained permission to establish a trading base in Macau, which would become an important center of trade between China and the Western world during the following centuries. Guangzhou. Guangzhou, also known as Canton, is the capital of the province of Guangdong. The policy of the Qing dynasty in the 18th century established Canton as the only port, which limited China's international trade through Guangzhou. Although this caused discontent among Western powers and eventually led to the Opium Wars, it also created one of the most important trade zones in the world. Currently, Guangzhou plays a key role in China's economic development and is known for its manufacturing industries, especially in electronics, automobiles, petrochemicals, and textiles. Tourists who visit Guangzhou can explore attractions such as the Canton Tower, which offers panoramic views of the city, and the Canton Fair, the largest trade fair in China, held twice a year and attracting companies from around the world. In addition, Cantonese cuisine is famous both within China and internationally. Dim sum, roast goose, and various seafood dishes are some of the highlights of the local culinary scene. Also, the bustling markets and commercial and financial districts of the city, such as Tianhe, host a large number of skyscrapers, luxury hotels, convention centers, and a wide variety of entertainment options. Tibet, the roof of the world or the third pole, has attracted travelers for centuries. This vast high-altitude desert has generated myths and legends since memorable times. Its mountains are home to monks. The landscape is overwhelming. Its monasteries are full of art and treasures. And the religious devotion of its people is humble. At first glance, it may seem that there is no other place on Earth that can evoke so many exotic impressions. Its surface, of 1.2 million square kilometers, has long been hidden from the rest of the world, isolated and impenetrable beyond the highest mountains on the planet. For centuries, this mysterious land was the dream of countless explorers and adventurers. Tibetans celebrate numerous religious festivals such as Ojer, the Tibetan New Year, and Monlam, the Festival of Great Prayers. A curiosity is the use of prayer flags that are believed to disperse mantras and blessings with the wind. Furthermore, Tibet is home to the Potala Palace, the former residence of the Dalai Lama, and monasteries that are centers of learning and practice of Buddhism. Tibetans have a rich tradition of music and dance, with unique instruments such as the tingsha, a small metal cymbal, or rituals like spinning the korlos, with the belief that this way prayers will be carried by the wind. Chinese food. Chinese gastronomy, with more than 5,000 years of history, is one of the most diverse and sophisticated in the world, characterized by its balance of flavors, textures, and health benefits. This cuisine has conquered palates all over the planet. Among its most emblematic dishes is the Peking duck, famous for its crispy skin and juicy meat. Dim sum, small steamed delicacies, are essential in Cantonese cuisine. Mapo tofu, originally from Sichuan, combines spiciness with the softness of tofu. We cannot forget fried rice and the famous stuffed dumplings, or jiaozi. Kung Pao chicken, with its mix of chicken, peanuts, and vegetables in a spicy sauce, is another international favorite. Other representative dishes include chow mein, fried noodles with vegetables and meat, sweet and sour pork, popular in Cantonese cuisine, and spring rolls, appreciated for their crispy texture and tasty filling, among an endless variety of dishes. For you, what fact do you think we should have included in our list, or which of the ones we mentioned do you find most interesting? Leave us your comments. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you haven't done so yet, and give this video a like. And we'll see you in our next exploration of wonders around our planet.